the group chat and stuff and ask about each other and how the week has been and everything. So I know some of you haven't received the books. Just to sort of let you in on the process a bit, what we do is once we select the book that we've curated, we will typically make sure that we get it. The lockdown is still on, offices are still not working full time. So we, it's sort of a little difficult for us to dispatch it immediately as soon as it comes. But what we try and do is, say, for instance, this week's book, we dispatch it by, say, at the very latest, within a week's time. So there could be a bit of a lag. And also we are still seeing some problems with the books getting couriered to where you are. Some of them are saying we're still not, it's getting delayed. We can't really send it there. So these issues are still getting ironed out. But I think things are easing up. It is opening up. So we should make sure that we've covered the backlog soon. So I'm addressing the elephant in the room. The books and your gifts are going to reach you. But if you still don't get it, please just write into connect@indiafactquiz.com and we'll make sure we take care of it. Okay, now on to this week's quiz. This week is a very interesting one because we've celebrated World Statistics Day on the 20th of October. Now, this event comes once in 5 years, and it is, of course, for people like us in particular, very important. And I say people like us. Who is us? We're part of India Spend. India Spend is a data journalism initiative which focuses on data and facts to build narratives and tell stories in a way that gives you a real perspective of what's happening in the country on issues like education, health, governance, judicial reform. So gender, these are some very climate change and environment issues really that mainstream media is not picking up, or I would say not reporting enough on, especially with numbers and data. It's hard stuff and we like hard stuff. So that's what we do. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation have been very generous and gracious in supporting this initiative. And we started off in February this year, and it's just amazing to see the kind of traction that we're getting. We're nearly reaching 600,000 quizzes taken on indiafactquiz.com. We have weekly quizzes, we have these special quizzes that come to you live. And another important thing that we're celebrating, or I think commemorating today, it's somber, especially in the day and age of the pandemic, but today is World Polio Day. And if we think about the progress that the world has made in eliminating polio, I think it is phenomenal, in particular India. Africa kicked out polio in August this year. There are only 2 countries in the world where you have the wild polio virus still existing as of today, and that is Afghanistan and Pakistan. And let me tell you, I think I don't need to, simply because we're all seeing it happen day in and day out, that one part of the world has a problem, it's going to affect all of us. I don't think we're in that position or in that world anymore to say, oh, that's a problem that's happening somewhere else, we've got nothing to do with it, especially when it comes to aspects such as health. And I think the pandemic, if nothing else, has given us this very bitter lesson that the world really is interconnected. And I don't think we can live in our little shell, in our little hole, bury our heads and say, yeah, well, who cares? I mean, it's not really affecting my life in any way. I think those days are gone past us. If anything, there's a lot for us to catch up on, a lot of learnings and a lot of knowledge that put your game pin in, and you have to select, well, it says nickname, so put your name in. My suggestion is try and stick with your name, simply because it really helps us when it comes to giving gifts. So those of you probably haven't received it, think about what name you put in there. Was it some gamer name? because these things really sort of set back the process a bit. So that's another thing I would highly recommend that you put your name in. And just a little bit about what book we have today. So, well, okay. Um, just before that, the rules are fairly simple. You have the multiple choice questions, you have your true and false. The fastest finger rule applies here. So please just keep that in mind. Um, please, please, please do not put the answer, right or wrong, in the chat box. You have signed up an honor code when you play the game of facts or you play the weekly quiz on indiafact.com, sorry, indiafactquiz.com. And what this means is that when you play this game, you are taking into account that you are going to play with utmost integrity. You will not use someone else's identity. You will log in from only one ID, and you will not, most importantly, undermine somebody else's effort. So if somebody actually knows the answer and then you go and put in some other answer in there, or you sort of, you know, put in the right answer and they pick it from there, it just feels, you feel a little cheated. So please don't do that. I think now we've pretty much taken care of everything that there is. The book that Manvi selected for you this week is called The Sixth Extinction. This is by Elizabeth Colbert, and she's a reporter. She won the Pulitzer for this particular book, which is a very prestigious honor. Now, the thing with this book is, it's interesting because, you know, we know that it's actually tracked, and she's done it very cleverly by giving anecdotal evidence to the fact that the biggest threat to mankind is man. And she's talking about how species are disappearing from the earth, and the kind of damage that we're doing to the environment and to the world around us is done by nobody but human beings. So it's a very interesting book, and really do hope you like it. And with that, we're going to go ahead. I'm going to log into the quiz page. Now you will see your name appear there, and you still have time. You have about, I would say, 3 questions to decide whether you want to log in to the main quiz or no. So there's a little bit of time there that you're going to get. And yeah, let's go ahead and start the quiz, yeah? All right, so I hope you can see your name on the screen, and it will give you an indication on your handset as well. And we're going to go ahead and start this week's quiz. All the best to everyone. Those of you who've come for the first time, a very warm welcome to the family. And those of you who have come again, well, so good to see you. And here we go. I hope the music is not too loud or too soft. Please just put that in the chat box. The first question is, do you prefer online quizzing or live quizzing? What is your preference? No marks for this question. This is really to get you very comfortable with the format. Okay, so seems like it's not, well, it's kind of a hung parliament, but 55% of you have said online quizzing and 45% have said live quizzing. So we get on to the next question now. What genre of books, novels do you enjoy reading? Since really here we're all about books. So is it fiction, poetry, biographies, nonfiction? What's your book? All right, so clearly fiction leads, followed by nonfiction, and not bad. We still have 9 people who like poetry, so I'm in your camp. Do you think we should give more importance to statistics than we give to opinions? So, yes, of course, no opinions are more important, it is not necessary, or statistics are boring. All right. Okay. No, we're in a very safe space, and it's great that you're in the right place. Really. So this quiz really is also testing you on your biases and your logic and applying what you see around you to it. So it's not your conventional general knowledge questions. So we're on to the main round now. This is going to go a little fast once it starts. It's a very dynamic scoreboard. So remember, don't give up till the end, no matter what you do, because you could still stand a very good chance. All right? Okay. So on to the quiz now. More students in Odisha turn up in schools every day compared to students in Bihar. We're comparing school students in Odisha to Bihar, and we are saying more students in Odisha attend school. They're more diligent. What do you think? All right. This is sort of tricky. 52 of you said true, and it's not. The 40 of you, I'm very interested to know what was going on in your mind. Do you sort of get have some anecdotal evidence, or did you just sort of guess? Either way, you are right. It is indeed false. In fact, 83.8% of children attend schools in Bihar. So clearly they're very diligent in making sure that the students are attending school, while 82.8% of students attend schools in Odisha. The lowest in the country is Assam at 79.1%. Now, we're going to have a quick look at the scoreboard. Be warned, extremely dynamic. You never know what's going to happen, literally from one question to the next, okay? So we're starting off with Kishore M, followed by Anup, Harsh, Piyush, and Niharika, all right? And on to the next question. The number of new mothers who receive antenatal care from a skilled provider is lowest in the state or union territory of Daman and Diu, Nagaland, Bihar, or Rajasthan. Where do new mothers get the least attention from a skilled health provider? Okay, so 36 of you are right. In fact, um, Nagaland is the state where 44% of new mothers get that special attention or additional attention or much needed attention, as you can classify that as, from a skilled provider. These are essentially nurses, midwives, a lady health visitor, and this percentage is about 49% in a state like Bihar, 83% in Rajasthan, and 79% in Daman and Diu. No surprises here, but the state that provides the highest attention of antenatal care is Kerala at 99%. So with that, we're going to go to the scoreboard and see if there's any change. Like I said, Niharika is now leading with 2,869, followed by Naresh, Lakshmi, Neelab Sinha, and Nihal Sinha. I'm assuming There is no duplication of efforts here at all. The rules are very strict, and we try and keep them strict because we really believe in the integrity of the India Fact Quiz. So I would just, a little word of caution, please make sure that everyone's maintaining their own actual identity. All right. So with that, we move on to the next question. In 2015-16, more children, we're talking about 12 to 23 months old, in Gujarat received all basic vaccinations compared to children in Jammu and Kashmir. So basic vaccinations include your measles, DTP, all of these. We're comparing Gujarat and Jammu and Kashmir. All right. So 58 of you, said it was true that children of this age bracket in Gujarat do receive all vaccinations. Sorry, Jammu Kashmir is definitely higher in this rank compared to the state of Gujarat. Now, don't, I would say, it's very easy to get a question like this a little misplaced. I've done it. It's very hard because, but then once you come to know and you have the numbers, suddenly your perspective shifts and you realize that it's not really as it seems. Sometimes perceptions and sometimes looks are deceiving. So in fact, 50% of children in Gujarat received all basic vaccinations in 2015-16, which is fairly dismal simply because we know that for building herd immunity, you need to have at least a 60% of the population who have got that vaccination, or you will have outbreaks of that particular disease. In the same year, so you have 50% in Gujarat and you have 75% of the children in Jammu Kashmir who got all basic vaccinations. That's the difference. And let's take a look at the scoreboard now. All right, so we have Naresh with 3,819, Harsh Modi, Nilab Sinha, Nihal Sinha, and Rajpriya. I'm going to again here emphasize, please people, be very, very careful when you are putting any message on the chat box, when you are logging in with someone else's identity. What you are doing is really putting yourself up for disqualification. So don't do that. And a special mention to Ranjita L, who has the highest answer streak of 3. All right. India's Protection for Women Against Domestic Violence Act is applicable only to married women. It seems fairly simplistic. It's Domestic Violence Act. It's for women. We're asking you, is it applicable only to married women? True or false? Okay. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit of a sequence and chronology before we get to this answer in particular. So the Domestic Violence Act, or rather domestic violence, was recognized under the Indian Penal Code in 1983 as a criminal offense. So it took us, we got independence in 1947. We're talking 1983 to recognize that domestic violence is an offense. Number one. Second, there's an enactment. So obviously there is a process in which there's a bill and then it goes to Parliament and it gets signed by both sides of the Parliament. And it comes into effect as an act in 2005. So I would say justice delayed is justice denied to a great extent. But this is a very important step in empowering women and allowing half the population to feel some form of security because it is fairly comprehensive. It recognizes, all of these factors that a lot of women face in very difficult situations. And essentially, while it started off recognizing legally married women, it has gone on and has a broader cover for live-in relationships as well, recognizes women in live-in relationships. And now it also covers other women in the family, including sisters, mothers, etc. So fairly progressive in that sense. And now we look at the scoreboard and let's see what it says. Naresh is still holding up, followed by Nilab Sinha and Nihal Sinha seem to be going sort of hand in hand. And then we have Raj Priya and Ranjita. Anushri Ashok is the highest climber, so Anushri, keep at it. Here we have the next one. What percentage of married Indian women report that their husbands do not trust them to handle or manage money? Essentially, we'll tell them, we will handle the purse string. Is it 53%, 65%, 24%, or 75%? All right, so 22 of you feel that actually it's a much lower percentage compared to the other numbers that are there on your screen. But yes, it is quite sad that still 24% of Indian men do not allow the women to manage money or don't trust them to handle their money. All right, so we're going to have a look at the scoreboard. And we have Raj Priya now with 6,407, followed by Nihal, Harsh, Purvi Modi, and Sai Chandra. I'm going to repeat this again. Please be mindful. It could be you who's taking someone else's identity, could be even your own sister, mother, you know, and it's well in a different world, but not in the world of facts. So fact tells you that if you are playing this quiz and it is you who's playing this quiz, then it should be you who's logging in with your identity from your mobile number using your email ID. So please don't put yourself up for disappointment. These things are audited and we will simply have to disqualify you, which we will hate to do. Now with that, we move on to the next question. What percentage of married Indian women between the age of 15 to 49 are employed? Is it 31%, 15%, 55%, or 22%? How many women do you think are employed? All right, so 30 of you got the answer right. It is 31%. Currently, this number of married women are employed. It's a very important statistic. Now, this is one statistic which is a little problematic because over the years, from a 5-year period, so we're talking about NFHS is the data source for this set. NFHS 4 came out in 2015-16, which told us that 31% of married women are employed. However, in NFHS 3, we had 43% women who were employed, which means that we have lost women in employment along the way. And the reasons can be fairly complex or as simple as can't cope, or they just don't feel that they can continue with their jobs after they get married and possibly have children or what have you. But clearly economic empowerment of women, especially the ones that are married, really needs a little more attention from the government. All right. Now we're going to have a look at the scoreboard at this point. And we have Nihal Sinha, who's now leading with 8,174, followed by Rajpriya, Harsh Modi, Bhargavi. It's always nice to see new names on the scoreboard, and Vibhishra. So with that, we're on to the next question. Tamil Nadu's Dr. Muthulakshmi Maternity Benefit Scheme provides a benefit of 10,000 rupees, 3,500 rupees, 6,000 rupees, or 18,000 rupees to a pregnant or to-be mother. What do you think under this scheme pregnant women receive? All right. Well, congratulations to 17 of you who got this right. It is a very handsome compensation, and it is to really take care of whether it's nutrition or whether it is wage loss during pregnancy that women, well, in a sense, have to suffer. And what is good about this particular maternity benefit scheme is it's much more, and at least from a policy analysis, much more easy as a government scheme for women to access than other schemes in other states. So all states, or practically all states around the country, have some form of a maternity benefit scheme. Tamil Nadu has been especially thoughtful about their own welfare schemes. And we have seen that across various other welfare schemes that they provide, whether it's in food security or what have you. And the idea of this is to really benefit not just pregnant women who are living in the state, but also recognizes migrant women and provides this cash in tranches through their pregnancy. So the scoreboard hasn't changed too much, but we have Nihal, Rajpriya, Harsh, and Vanshika is on the top 5, along with Naresh. And we have Rohan, who's the highest climber. All right, now we go to the next question. India's sex ratio at birth has improved in 2019-2020 compared to 2014-2015. True or false? All righty. Okay. Yes. So that's one good news. And I think a majority of you have a very positive and optimistic disposition to this. So from 934, or rather 918 girls to 1,000 boys in 2014-15, we now are at 934 girls for 1,000 boys, which clearly is a very important step. I think there still is some margin and some course correction that has to be done, but that is why programs that we have, such as Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao programs, are very important. And the highest improvement on the balance of sex ratio has been in the territory of Chandigarh. So from 874 girls for 1,000 boys, now we have 935 for 1,000 boys. So that is a huge jump. This is followed by Haryana. Uttarakhand has also improved. In fact, the sex ratio in 26 states have shown an improvement. However, it has worsened in Mizoram, for instance, and the highest decline has been in Lakshadweep. So really, it's the sex ratio is a very problematic area, especially, and this sort of the starting point for all the problems that then start to manifest itself in any society or community. So with that, we'll have a look at the scoreboard. and move on to the next question. So Rajpriya is now on top of the list with 9,032, followed by Nihal Sinha, Harsh Modi, Kishore, and Vanshika. So we're talking about Manrega, or the Mahatma Gandhi Employment Generation Act, which has generated, is it 250 million, 2.64 billion, 500 million, or 1 billion days of employment in 2019-20. So so Manrega is essentially focusing on rural employment. And this is one job that a lot of people in rural areas do rely on significantly. And I'm so glad that 25 of you really took that bet and hit on 2.64 billion, because that is the right answer. So Harsh Modi has now gone right on top with 9,949, followed by Bhargavi, Rajpriya, Nihal Sinha, and Naresh. On to the next question. Mano Darpan is an initiative for some kind of support for students, teachers, and family, focusing on career counseling, physical training, psychosocial, which is your mental health, emotional well-being, or providing counseling for the rehabilitation of alcoholics. This is something that was introduced during the lockdown, or as COVID-19 set in. All right. Okay, I think today is a very good day for all you quizzards out there. And I'm kind of curious as to why, but it has been instated by the Ministry of Human Resource Development. And this is an initiative for the psychosocial, mental health, emotional well-being for teachers, families, students, etc., who really need this additional support during the lockdown. And of course, I mean, this pandemic is sort of still in our midst, and basically provides a whole range of support, whether it's podcasts or whether it is counseling sessions, practical tips, videos, all of that for psychosocial support. And in fact, the objective of Mano Darpan is to go beyond, take it beyond COVID-19, and probably make it a more established initiative, which they will continue to run. So youngsters, parents, families, students, teachers, you know what you have access to. There is some support out there. And this is a resource you could even tell people about. And I'm sure a lot of people don't know about it. So Harsh Modi is holding on really tight to the pole position, followed by Naresh, Anna, Vishal, and Bhargavi. So with cycling clubs picking up speed, and I'm sure a lot of us are part of those, more people in cities own a bicycle compared to people living in rural areas. Is it true or false? Okay, so hung parliament here, because 38 of you said false, and that is right, and 37 of you said true. Now, the thing is, 45% of people own a bicycle in urban areas compared to 55.9% ownership of bicycles in rural areas. And clearly, bicycle is the most common transportation mode in rural India. And while in urban India, you have a combination of scooters, motorcycles, etc. Look at the scoreboard and see if there's any movement there. Harsh Modi, followed by Naresh, Vishal, Rajpriya, and Ankit Singh. The next question. The polio vaccine has the highest coverage among babies between the age of 12 to 23 months. True or false? Okay, so majority of you thought, hey, it's World Polio Day. There has to be a question on the polio vaccine, and probably it's in the affirmative. Well, actually, it's BCG, which is the vaccine that has the highest coverage among babies of this age. And with that, let's see what a scoreboard says. It's Harsh, followed by Naresh, Ankit Singh, Anna, and Vishal. They seem to be sort of playing some kind of, musical chairs in the top 5. Now, the next one. What percentage or X percentage of women in India know about ORS, which is called oral rehydration salts, for treatment of diarrhea? Is it 75%, 65%, 80%, or 86%? All right. So 19 of you said 86%, and yes, it is 86% of women in India who are aware and know about oral rehydration salts as a treatment for diarrhea. Now, diarrhea diseases are one of the highest reasons of hospitalizations of children under the age of 5, and in general of child deaths globally. In fact, it's the leading killer of children, with approximately 8% of deaths among all children globally is due to complications of what should ideally be a fairly simplistic treatable problem like diarrhea. But this is one of those ailments that can very quickly spiral and go completely out of control if not treated immediately. And it's a very simple solution. The oral rehydration salts essentially is a mixture of really salt, sugar, and it's adding some more electrolytes to make sure that the child has not sort of drained off all the important aspects and elements that they need in their body during this time. So clearly, getting women in particular, since they are the primary caregivers of babies and children, was extremely critical, and the World Health Organization did a very remarkable job in making sure of using all kinds of medium to get women to understand the importance of administering something as simple as oral rehydration salts to anyone who's suffering from diarrhea, in particular children. And this is one of those things that has actually saved lives. In 2018, India, in fact, brought down diarrheal deaths among children by a whopping 52%. So sometimes the solutions to saving life are fairly simple. And with that, we come to the end of this quiz, but we're going to take a look at the scoreboard and see how you fared. Rest assured, don't worry, your book, The Sixth Extinction, is going to reach you. Please just send us your addresses on connect@indiafactquiz.com. And without much ado, let's see who's on the podium. So it's Sagar at 3rd place, Harsh Modi on 2nd, and Vishal, with a little bit of suspense, at the number 1 spot. Naresh and Nilab, you are also runner-ups at 4th and 5th place. So congratulations to all of you. And we're looking forward to seeing you next week again, same time, same place. Have a great week. And thank you so much for watching the Game of Facts. And don't forget to be here same time for Hindol Sengupta's Game of Facts, which is a special edition that we'll be hosting tomorrow. And of course, Shivangi is going to be back next Friday at 5 o'clock for the Hindi Game of Facts. And the weekly quizzes go on, and we're all working very hard towards our championships. So a lot of exciting things happening at India Fact Quiz. Thank you, everyone, and bye. See you soon. Take care. Wear your masks, wash your hands, and maintain safe distance. Thank you.